myself Sonika Tyagi, and I'm working in digital department of Western Group. So I would like to welcome all the participants, including the esteemed teachers from the various national and international schools, for today's webinar conducted by Learnflix and Milestone. So today we are conducting webinar on how to design effective assessments for our virtual classes. So we all know that assessment is a very critical part for any teaching learning process to monitor the progress of the students and also to develop or enhance their skills. And these days, most of us are conducting the classes through virtual medium or the online medium. So it becomes very important that we are able to create effective assessments for our digital and virtual classes as well. So with great pleasure, I would like to welcome Ms. Asllesha Thakur, who is the key speaker for today's webinar. She is working as CEO for Lead Innovations, and she has a rich experience over 2.5 decades in the field of education. During this tenure, she has worked in revamping various institutions. She has rich experience in setting up schools, in training teachers, not only teachers as well as parents, and she has been involved in the various field of the curriculum development for various national and international boards as well. Not only this, she has been a proud recipient of many awards in the field of education that include the Governor of Uttar Pradesh Award for Meritorious Performance in Education and the DN Education Award for Women Entrepreneur in Education and many others. So today she'll be explaining us how to create effective assessments for digital classrooms, and she'll be taking up all our queries and questions at the end of the sessions related to this topic. So Asllesha, a very warm welcome from the team of Learnflix and Milestone, and it's over to you for now, please.
A very good afternoon to everyone. How is everyone doing? How's the Josh? Come on, tell me, is the Josh really good? It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, the team, the entire team behind this whole workshop. TS Digital, Learnflix, Chan, all of them who have selflessly worked so hard in making, in providing so many lovely workshops to teachers every now and then. So a big shout out to the entire team who's been organizing this, and it is my proud privilege to be here as a part of this discussion today. And it's an interesting topic as well, isn't it? It's the need of the day, and all of us are wondering what to do with assessments. So I have lots of ideas. I'm sure we'll have a wonderful discussion. I'm looking forward to the next 2 hours to spend with all of you. Give me a moment. I am going to start sharing my presentation. Just give me half a second. Okay, first, before I start my session, I want to pay a tribute to all the teachers here who have pivoted so quickly and so beautifully in order to make learning happen. You know, we're not less than the Corona warriors today. In fact, we are bringing up the next generation by improving our own skills. So I've written this poem specially for all of you. It's dedicated to each and every teacher who is making all the effort in making online learning interesting. I'm just going to switch on the computer audio, and here we go. Okay.
Because of you, dedicated to all the teachers who are working online, striving to make learning interesting. Because of you, today, a child will learn online. Because you ensured that you learn the skill on time. Because of you, a spark has been ignited. Because you planned your lesson in a way that every student would be delighted. Because of you, a journey of inquiry begins, because you decided to ensure that every student wins. Because of you, a child will use the right apps and learn to wonder. Because you knew a child would come through even if he was making a blunder. Because of you, a child will use technology to research, probe, and question. Because going to the depths of the topic was really your suggestion. Because of you, a child will develop skills of teamwork and communication. Because you used appropriate strategies for engagement and differentiation. Because of you, a child knows she doesn't need to use the words, "I don't know," ever. Because you made the children independent learners and changed their lives forever. All because you made it possible.
So really, it is you who have made all this possible. So what I want you to do is to actually pat yourselves on the back. Come on, do it with me. Very good. I can see all of you actually, by the way. So I'm seeing whether you're doing it or not. Not one hand, let's do it with both, because we are the ones who are making it all happen, isn't it? Okay, great. All right. So let's move on to the next point and the real point. Assessment is a tough word in these days. We're all wondering what we need to do in order to find out whether our children have genuinely learned or not. But for a minute, let's pause and wonder, what is the end goal of our journey? The process of education or the process of assessment? What do we want to see at the end of the day? What we want to see at the end of the day is a happy child. Am I right? Yeah? If you like the point that I'm saying, remember, go to the emoticons and share your reactions, because it keeps telling me whether I'm on the right track. So this is going to be a very participative session, and I want everyone to participate, all right? So the goal of everything that we do is a happy child. A child who's well-adjusted, a child who's a lifelong learner, a child who's capable of meeting all the vagaries of life, the ups and downs of life. A child who's capable of standing on his own feet with good skills, with creative skills, critical thinking, all the 21st century skills we want to empower. So in doing so, assessment that is designed to promote learning. Only when assessment promotes learning can we say that it is empowering children to become lifelong learners. Am I right? So let's get down and see what we're going to do today. So today, we're going to look at some basics of assessment, no theory, but a few important points that I want to reiterate. Analyze a case study, look at what is a good online model of assessment, some EdTech ideas for formative assessments, how we're going to do pre-primary assessments, and also how do we assess authentic learning. So this is what I'm proposing to do today. So what we're going to do is first, and like I said, this is going to be a very interactive presentation, and you'll be surprised with over 1,000 participants on Zoom, and I can see so many more on Facebook. We're all going to participate in this together, all right? So what I want you to go do is go to this website called menti.com. If you're on your laptop, then just open another tab, or if you're on a phone, just use your phone, whatever you want. MENTI, menti.com. Code is 513513. Kindly go to this, please, everyone. Yeah. Menti.com 513513. I want to know from you, what do you think is the real purpose of assessment in today's scenario? Forget the classroom for a minute, forget everything else for a minute. At this point in time, what do you think is the real purpose of assignment, of assessment. Okay, so go to menti.com and write down and tell me what do you think it means. And remember, use a phrase so that I can understand. So assessment, purpose of assessment is not teaching. And I'm not accepting your answers. Please be a little mindful. Yeah, so this is a good one. Analyze teaching, learning. Behavior change. We want to see behavior change. Good. Right learning. Okay, good. Analyze. Analyze what? Think before you write, guys. We're about 1,500, 2,000 of us already. Okay? Critical thinking. You want to analyze critical thinking, write the whole phrase. Knowing capabilities. I like that. Skilled learning. Good. Compete with the world. Do we really want children to compete with themselves or compete with the whole world? Okay. Improving the child. Good point. Checking learning. Evaluating the understanding. Testing the concept. Skill learning. Lovely point. Knowing capabilities. Stamina. Okay, we are assessing stamina. Probably you're a PE teacher. Enable learning. Very good. How much learning has children done? Evaluating. Analyze critical thinking. Very good point. Very nice. Analyze and evaluate. Testing the concept. Checking the learning. Analyzing. I'm getting these keywords very often. Very nice. Learning skills. Excellent. Child development. Evaluating the child. Learning skills. Right learning. Very good. Are you seeing our word cloud coming up in front of us? Isn't it such a fun activity to do? Are you feeling a part of my session now? Yes? I can see many of you smiling. Great. I like that. Very good. So there we go. Okay, I'm stopping the sharing now and I'm stopping this activity. I think we've got our answers. See what's at the center of it all. It's all about evaluation. It's all about critical thinking, about and analyzing whether we are meeting our goals or not. Cross-checking. Somebody says on Facebook, I've also got a Facebook thing open and I'm also looking at your answers here. If you can't go to menti.com, write on Facebook, I'm checking it out. Okay, can anyone type the code 513513? But it's all right, I'm closing it. Okay, so happy to join you and we're checking the grasping part. Beautiful. Do you see at the heart of this word cloud? By the technology, it's talking about critical thinking, creativity, evaluation. Beautiful. Very, very nice. I love this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm back to my own screen now. I hope you can see my screen now. Okay. So we've seen the purpose of assessment in today's scenario. Let's move on ahead and really get into this. So for me, there are two ways of looking at assessment, and I'm being very simple about it. One way of looking at assessment is, well, how well did my children learn? And then not just how much did they learn, not the quantity or the marks of it. For me, what is more important is that, are my children able to apply what they're learning? Are my children able to transfer to real life? Whatever they have learned, are they being able to transfer it to real life? Can they create something original and new, right? Remember, at the end of it all, we want originality. And this originality will only happen if our assessment process is rigorous and meaningful. So that's one part of the story. The second part of the story is about me. I want to know, did I achieve my learning intentions? Learning intentions are also called as learning objectives, all right? Don't confuse between terminologies. Same thing, I'm just using another word. So when I'm looking at whether I have been successful in achieving my learning intentions, I'm looking at, have I been able to reach out to every single student, right? Is there enough evidence to show me that I am doing well? It's not just something which is intuitive, which I'm thinking, but is there evidence to show that I'm actually genuinely reaching my learners? Do I have enough information to plan and replan everything that I'm doing. So for me, this is the real realm of assessment. How well did my students learn and how well am I doing? These two are the core pillars on which assessment has been established. All right. But before we go on to assessment and discussing everything about assessment, for a moment, let's step back. Okay. I think it's important to look at this from a 360-degree perspective. So we need to look at what is the effective remote teaching model first, before we come to what we can do as assessment. Because if we don't understand the pedagogical model of good teaching and learning online, we really can't, design and develop the right kind of assessment practices. So I'm going to give you some basic tenets of effective remote teaching. And I will go into this a little more with an example later. Please feel free to take as many photographs as you want. I want this information to be with you. All right. First and foremost, in the pedagogical considerations. First is active learning. Now, active learning goes beyond asking mere questions in the class. Whenever I ask teachers, what do I, how are you? How was active learning in the class? Very often teachers respond back to me saying, ma'am, I ask a lot of questions, there's a lot of interaction, students respond and all of that. But active learning is beyond that. It's not just merely about asking questions. Active learning is when every student, 100% of our students are thinking and constructing their own knowledge. They're taking accountability for what they are doing. That's when active learning is happening. What did we do in the word cloud activity? Would you consider that to be an example of active learning? The answer is yes, because you are thinking what assessment means for you today. That's the way by which you are constructing your own knowledge about active learning. So that's the way, that's what I'm wanting. So rather than posing just question answers in a class, do activities where 100% children are involved. And we will see that even though today I'm doing a lecture, I'm trying to bring in a lot of interactivity even within my own session. All right. So first point is active learning. Second point is differentiation. Are we being able to cater to the different children sitting in front of us? 40, 50 children in front of us. Somebody who's very quick in learning, somebody needs more time. Somebody learns through visual means, somebody learns through kinesthetic means, somebody learns through auditory means. They have different learning styles. Children have different multiple intelligences. Am I, as a teacher, catering to this differentiation intelligently and consciously? That's the crux. Third point. What am I doing in order to develop higher order thinking skills in children? Okay. And do we know what higher order thinking skills are? Are you aware of Bloom's taxonomy? At the lowest level of Bloom's taxonomy, we have recall and remember. The next level is understand and comprehend. The level above that is applying. The level above that is analyzing. The level above that is evaluating. And the highest level is creating. You remember I talked about this a little while ago, that we want children to create original things. The fact is that if we are developing higher order thinking skills, then children will be in a position to create. Let me tell you something very scary, okay? I visited the site of WIPO, World International Property Organization. This organization is the one that records patents. Okay, in the year 2018, China had applied for 13 lakh patents in 1 year. US had applied for 5,15,000 patents. Do you know how many patents did India apply for? I'm sorry to tell you, my dear teachers, India had applied only for 30,386 patents. Can you see the problem? Is the next century going to belong, next decade going to belong to us? From 2020 to 2030, is India going to be a Vishwa Guru? Is India going to be the superpower in the world? We have the potential, but it means that all of us teachers have to roll up our sleeves and get cracking. And we need to get children to start developing original work. Only and only then will we be in a position to get India to the position that it truly deserves? Do you believe that India can do it? Respond to me in your chat. I want everyone to go to the chat and write, tell me yes or no. Do we want India to do well? Everyone. I'm getting a lot of yeses. I'm so glad to hear this. Yes from Manju. Yes from Fiona. Yes from Rekha. Yes from Shirja. Yes from Zainab. On my Facebook friends, please don't be behind. I want you to also go ahead and write. I can see your responses. Yes, of course, says Bhavna. Shalini says yes. Maya says yes. Meeti says yes, definitely. Wow. So if we want, who is the one who's going to make this happen? Tell me. It is we teachers, no one else. The foundation of higher order thinking skills is laid in the childhood, and we teachers are responsible. If India is to progress, we need to take the ownership and responsibility. Remember this ownership is on our shoulders. Last point, next point, assessment, the fourth pillar. How are we doing our assessment? How are we checking for understanding? Are we designing thoughtfully, thought-provoking assessments that will lead India forward, that will lead our children forward? Or are we still going on with our pen and paper tests? It won't work. In remote teaching, we need to rethink our strategies, and that is what we're going to discuss in another couple of minutes. When we're looking at online classroom management, that's the second point. Pedagogy is one, classroom management is second. Are we developing the right rules and procedures? What is the discipline like? Are we managing our class correctly? How are we managing technology and student engagement? All these points matter. And the last one is called student agency. In all international forums these days, you will hear this terminology called student agency. Student agency refers to a degree, what degree of autonomy is the student experiencing when he is learning with you? Are you giving the child a voice and choice? Remember these words, voice and choice. If we can develop voice and choice in our teaching and learning process, we have it going. This is the way this generation learns. So remember this, in your classes, wherever possible, try and see if you can give children a voice. Try and give children a choice about what they want to do. You will see that they will start developing autonomy. They will start developing responsibility. And when children become responsible for their own learning, motivation levels go up from here to here. Interest develops. And isn't that what we want? We want children who are interested. So that's a great way of developing self-learning in our children. Now, that brings me to the next point. Okay? Have you ever wondered why some students are so successful in their assessments while others are not? Even though everyone has worked hard. Even the underperforming child has worked hard. Am I right? But then why is it that some children are more successful than some others? Now, if I were to ask you this question, you will tell me some are lazy, some are intelligent, they are God-given gift of intelligence, they're very quick to grasp, they have better retention, they're better, all those things aside. There has been one of the most phenomenal researches in the 20th and the 21st century that has been done by this lady called Carol Dweck. And this book that she wrote called Mindset. It is one of the best books that I have ever read. And if you have not read it, note it and order for your copy today, because this book will change your life about the way we perceive our own world. And forget the children for a minute, even for us as teachers. I've seen teachers when in the month of March, when it was announced that we're going into a lockdown, everybody thought, okay, maybe a few days, maybe a month, and then everything will go back to normal. And now slowly and slowly it's dawning on us that we don't know when things are going to normalize. And we've got to work in this new circumstance. The people who move on and who are able to become successful in life are people who have the right mindset. And this is what Carol Dweck said very beautifully. Either our children and us, even us teachers, there are two kinds of mindsets. One, fixed mindset, and another, growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe that intellect, talents, and skills cannot be nurtured, cannot be developed. A person is born with it. You're either intelligent or you're not intelligent, and it remains fixed. But people with growth mindset believe that skills, talent, and uh, and intellect can be developed through practice and perseverance. Take, for example, a little child who's learning to walk for the first time. Now, this little child is going to stand up and then fall down, and then fall, stand up, and then fall down. What happens if the mother says, "Oh, don't worry, my darling, you sit down. It's okay if you don't walk. If you don't walk, it's okay. You'll get to know it later. But don't fall and don't get hurt." Is this child ever going to learn? The answer is no, never. So people who move on, who believe that they have to work hard, people who believe that they have to practice and persevere, both these issues are important. Continuous practice, continuous perseverance, not giving up when we are met with hardships. Look at this. Two important characteristics of mindset. One, what do we believe? Do we believe that I can do it? How many times I've talked to teachers who say, "But ma'am, I'm not good in this. But ma'am, I can't do this." Where is that framework coming from? Where is it coming from? It's coming from our beliefs. What is subconscious and what is not visible even in our minds at times. It is our beliefs. People with fixed mindset believe they can't change, whereas people with growth mindset believe that they can change. The second thing is, where are they focusing their time and energy? People with fixed mindset believe even if they work hard, nothing is going to happen. Have you ever noticed this with your children? With some of your students, they'll say, "Ma'am, I work very hard, but I am not getting this, ma'am. Ma'am, I tried me. I, worked on this sum. I am not getting it, ma'am." Here is a child with a fixed mindset. What is a child or a teacher with growth mindset saying? I'm going to focus my work on doing well. I'm not going to worry about the results. Karmanya vadikaraste, isn't it? Don't worry about the fruits. They will happen. Worry about the effort. And that's exactly what our scriptures have taught us. And that is exactly what science is also teaching us. All right? That remember, put yourself, don't worry about the end result, work. Develop a growth mindset. Now, on the other side, there are 4 ingredients to growth. Number 1 is effort. Number 2 is challenges. Number 3 is mistakes. Number 4 is feedback. People with a fixed mindset do not want to put in the effort. They get threatened when they meet challenges. They get discouraged when they make mistakes. And they don't take feedback positively. Whereas people with growth mindset, they want to put in all the effort. They're willing to take that extra leap of faith. They take risks. People who have growth mindset, they persevere. They embrace opportunities. People who have growth mindset don't mind making mistakes. It's all right. They keep saying, "Okay, I've made this mistake. Come on, let me move on, and I'll see something else and I'll move on." Okay? And people with growth mindset appreciate feedback because they take it as in the positive way. Now, you may be wondering, on a session on assessment, why is she talking about mindset? Because there's a huge interpretation. Carol Dweck's work was with children about how they learn and how they perceive. Because the fact is that all these things have a huge impact on a human being's ability to learn. All these aspects, their beliefs, their focus, their perception of their efforts, challenges, mistakes, and feedback. Look at this now. A child who does not want to make the effort is likely to say, "I always do badly in math. What's the point?" A child who doesn't want to take up challenges saying, "Ma'am has said that I can either make a written project or a video, right? I don't want to make a video. I'm not good in speaking." Have you seen children making easier choices? They're children with fixed mindsets. Have you seen children saying, "I made so many mistakes on my Padlet. Ma'am has cut my marks. I'm so unlucky." So they blame luck. They blame everyone around. They sometimes even blame the teacher, right? When they're given feedback, they're saying, ma'am, it wasn't my mistake. Internet wasn't working. The other children in my group didn't do the work. So they're blaming the whole world instead of taking the feedback. But there is, what do children with growth mindset do? So believe me when I say that growth mindset, in order to develop it in our children, first, we need to look at our own mindsets. We need to look at whether we are also guilty of having a fixed mindset. How many of us, when we first got to know, that we have to teach online, did like this? Hey, Bhagwan, what is going to happen to me now? How am I going to do it? What will people think? I can't do it. Okay, that was probably the first start point. Now, 2 months later, when we've been doing it all this while, now I think we are developing a growth mindset, correct? But the question here is, if you are a person with growth mindset, with fixed mindset, you're going to be where you are. But if you're a person with growth mindset, you're going to look at, okay, I've learned this much, can I move on? So that's my one specific message to you today, that change your own mindset and help develop growth mindset in children. Because assessment, like I said, is about nurturing a holistic learner, a lifelong learner, a complete child capable. If the child has the right mindset towards his assessments, we've won that battle, teachers. We've won it. Okay, so be in that. My fourth point today, and this is another interesting one. Are you sharing learning intentions and success criteria with your students? How many times do we just teach for the sake of teaching without really telling children what they are going to be able to do as a result? What are learning intentions? Like I said earlier, nothing but learning objectives. This is what the student's going to learn. It tells the students what they should know, what they should understand, and what they should be able to do. All right? So this is important. Okay. Success criteria. What should a child pay attention to be able to be successful in this task? That is what this is telling us. Let me show you with an example. Take a look at the one on the left first. All right. The learning intention this was from a school that I visited in one of the countries, and the teacher had put this up so beautifully. I loved it that I took a picture. We are learning to locate and describe position of maps on a grid referenced system. This was the learning intention. And what is the criteria for success? I am successful when I can locate positions on a map using coordinates. I can describe the position of different things on a map using coordinates. I can use a compass to locate items on a map. I can use grid reference on a map. I can compare the positions of different places. I can use a key or a legend on a map. I can use a map and follow directions completely. Can you see how beautifully a learning intention has been transcribed into a success criteria? I love this simply because if a child can put a tick mark on it, you know that he's done self-assessment. And if a child is doing self-assessment, then a child is actually being able to understand that I am learning this particular point. But out of all of these, the child says, I can't really, okay, I can do many things, but unfortunately, I can't compare things, compare where places are located. It means life becomes so simple for a teacher then. She has to then only say, okay, this is what you need to do to be able to find out. So today onwards, when you teach on Monday, spend a few minutes telling children what the learning intentions are and help children create their own success criteria. You know how teachers can do this? Take all your learning intentions, your learning objectives, just write them out, put an I can in front of it, and just circulate it to children. And then tell children at the end of it, put a tick mark on what you can do. Initially, there is no need for children to write it. Over a period of time, then you can help children to write it for themselves. How are we doing, teachers? Are you with me? Can you give me some kind of an indication? A thumbs up, please. Can I just get a thumbs up from everyone? Not a real thumbs up. I want a virtual thumbs up, please, so that I can see. Good. Thank you, Swarnlata. Thank you, Noor. I can see it already. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And how are my Facebook friends doing? Okay, Chitra is saying some students have exam fear. So true, Chitra. They're fearing what they're going to be preparing well. Fear, I can tell you, Chitra, is the enemy of success. All right. Okay, moving on. Point number 5. I'm going to tell you 15 points today. We're on point 5 now. Point 5 is how are we giving feedback? All right. Now, this is one thing that I have seen. Teachers usually just correct. They teach, they correct notebooks, they correct assessment papers. But very often they do not give feedback. In all the researches that I have personally read, what is coming out is that if a child is given feedback about what he's doing well and what he needs to improve, it's only then that he starts moving up, right? That is the bedrock for a child's success. So please help your children by giving them the right kind of feedback. It's only then that we will see that children are changing. What does feedback consist of? Feedback consists of children getting to know where they are in their own learning. What is the next step they need to follow? How do they get there? All right. From what improvements do they need to move? Now, here's a very interesting technology bit that I want to share with you. All right. I've come across this. I think all of you probably would be using either MS Team or Google Classroom. In both these, there is a way by which you can enable audio comments. So I'm not expecting you to sit and write it down. Where you feel the child has done something wrong, highlight this, record a comment, and leave it for the child. Now, wouldn't that be wonderful if Rahul Sharma finds out that he's got a personalized comment from his teacher telling him that, Rahul, this is where you are wrong. If you had expressed it like this, you would be right. So it tells the child where he's wrong. It tells the child how to improve. That's when Rahul is going to make significant change in his learning. Okay, there is a beautiful software called Kaizana. Sorry, I've written the wrong spelling. Kaizena, not Zana as I've written. My mistake. Typing error. Okay, moving on. Point number 6. All right. How are we encouraging children to do self and peer assessment? Okay, this is very interesting because self and peer assessment allows children to ask this question and even answer this question. How is my learning happening? Okay, if a child can do it, now connect this with what I said about sharing success criteria and children writing the success criteria. If the children know what the success criteria is, then they will be able to evaluate themselves as well as some others very beautifully. Okay, so students look at their own work and they reflect on the quality of their work and they judge the degree to which it reflects the explicitly stated goal or criteria. All right, let me show you an example of this. Some time ago, I'd gone as an auditor in one of the schools, and I found this in one of the students' notebooks. This is a live example from a school. Can you see how the teacher has written down and given a little chit for it? Grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Have you used past tense? So there's a self checklist, there's a peer checklist, and there's a teacher checklist. Now, isn't this such a beautiful way of focusing on those things that we want children to always focus on? Otherwise, constantly we keep telling them, have you done punctuation? Have you used paragraphs? Have you used the tenses correctly? Have you spelled correctly? So look at this. The child has given him 50 on 50 on his own self. Now, this is only the quantitative. There's a qualitative aspect to this. How beautifully. There is this one little girl who's written, the person who's giving the peer feedback. She says, Grace, your autobiography was very well explained, but it mostly but mostly, and it was mostly neat, but I expected more detail from you, but it was, I still really, really nice to read. Okay, and the teacher has given, and her name is Niyama, and the teacher has written, I wonder where she could have put more details. So now the teacher is giving a feedback on the peer as well. And what has the teacher written then? She is herself given, I found your autobiography very engaging and excellent opening. See the specificity in the feedback. Excellent opening. Well-written paragraph with great details. With some non-fiction genres, namely autobiography, we must and you must recount. So here it is, giving very specific feedback about what needs to be done. Now, can we do some things of this sort? You will see that the children's level of work will transform to the next level. I can guarantee you this. So that was my sixth point, my seventh point. My seventh point is, when should assessment be done? Can you write in your chat? When should assessment be done? I want your responses now. Come on, everyone on the chat. When should it be done? That's my question. When should it be done? After the unit, after every class, after the class, after completion, regularly, every time. Be specific in your answers, teachers. I'm getting very, very superfluous and very superficial answers. I'm looking for more depth. During learning, good. After, during. Okay. During, before and after, good. Every day. After one topic. Okay. So the fact is that some of you have got it right and some of you have not. The fact is that assessment has to be done before we teach, during we teach, during the teaching time, and after we teach, on all the three times. And this is like a spiral, all right? It goes on adding on to one another. It's not just in every class, but before a class starts, before the teaching episode, during the teaching episode, and after the teaching episode. That's when all the assessment has to be done. Now, you might be thinking, oh my God, she's going to cause even more work for us. Growth mindset. Remember this. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you how to do it as well. I'm going to make it very simple for you. Okay? So when we do it before, we are checking and uncovering gaps, learning gaps in our children. If they have misconceptions, that's when. It also provides us a baseline to find out where our children are. If we are looking at the during time, then it helps to monitor what is the progress of the student. And then we can very quickly adjust our own approach. Also, it gives a feedback to the students about where they are and how they're learning. If it is done afterwards, then teachers use this feedback to evaluate their own learning. They also look at, do they need to plan for reteaching? Suppose there are some concepts that are not clear. Then they plan for remedial work if required. That's how it is done on all three phases. Check right now. Am I doing assessments 3 times? If not, from Monday onwards, start asking yourself, what can I do in order to assess before, during, and after? And it's not difficult. I'm going to show you in just a minute how easy it is to actually do this. Okay? All right. Assessment basics, formative and summative. We've all been hearing this. We've been teaching for a long time. We've been through the CCE. We've done this to death. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to teach you this. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a new share. I'm going to go all the way back. Now I'm going to do a quiz on this. All right. Are you ready for my quiz? Yes? Okay, give me a second. I'm just going to get the quiz up and going. Just one moment, please. How many of you have played Kahoot earlier? Have you played Kahoot earlier? Yes? Some of you are saying yes, that's good. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to play an assessment game. What use is an assessment session if I can't test how much you know, right? I'm so wicked, isn't it? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I want you to go to kahoot.it. All right. And I want you to type in this code that is going to come on my screen. If you are using a laptop, then go to another window. Otherwise, you can go straight away to you can go straight away on a mobile. Now, one important announcement. Please pay attention, everyone. Pay attention. Okay. Remember that sometimes Kahoot misbehaves on a phone. So Kahoot will ask a question, and there will be questions asked, and there will be colors shown on your screen. So I'm calling out the colors, and I'm also calling out the question and the responses with their colors. Only pay attention and let's do it together. Okay, let's start. For those of you who can't see it, you can see it on my screen, kahoot.it. The game pin is 2980708. 59, 60 players already in. Come on, everyone on Facebook also, come on. I'm going to wait a minute till everybody joins in. Remember to write your full name. Don't write shortcuts. Otherwise, we won't know who it is who's going to win this whole thing. Do not write shortcuts. Write the whole name. I mean, at least the first. In fact, write the whole name better so that we know it's you. There'll be lots and lots of Padmajas and Anitas. Many of us have similar names. So do write your whole name. Wonderful. Okay, we're almost more than 1,000 of us right now. Maybe almost 2,000 of us. Let me see how much Kahoot can take. I have no idea how many can play, but let's see. They've told me more than 2,000, so let's test Kahoot to its limits today. I'm going to give a moment more for everyone to join in. I think it's only fair that everyone gets a chance to be here. Hi, Shalini. I'm glad to see you there. Okay, 500 people already in. Wonderful. And counting. I'm going to give it another 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to stop when we reach 600 because time is precious and I can't keep waiting. So I'm going to give and wait till we reach 600 and then yeah. So 581 and counting. All right, so for all those who have joined, great. If not, are you ready to join and play with me? Get ready, people. First question, an MCQ quiz is done after a chapter is taught is an example of which type of assessment? Red, formative, blue, summative. Click only on the color in your mobile. And MCQ questions are asked at the end of the chapter as what example of what kind of assessment? Formative or summative? Red formative, blue summative. Okay. Dun, 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 tidick, tidick, tidick. I'm having fun. Are you? Okay, and the time is up. 339 got it right, 90 got it wrong. 90 got it wrong. Sorry, 90 got it right and 339 got it wrong. Interesting, isn't it? The minute we said MCQ, our mind went towards formative. But really, a summative assessment can also have MCQ. The issue is not whether it is MCQ or a fill in the blank. The issue is when is it happening? And the answer is, if it is happening after a chapter is taught, then it is a summative exam, summative assessment. Are we getting it clear? So see how I'm checking your misconceptions as we go along. I don't need to teach. This is such a beautiful way of learning, isn't it? Okay, moving on to the next question. Let's see who's the winner for this. Lucky, heartiest congratulations. You are winning right now with 928 points. Lovely. Moving on to the next one. True or false? The results of formative assessment are used to modify and validate instruction. Blue is true, red is false. The results of formative assessments are used to modify and validate instruction. 10 seconds left. Hurry up, guys. Hurry up. And I've got 470 responses. This time, 392 got it right. Yay. Now, the purpose of formative is to improve instruction. Remember this. If you are only taking formatives and not improving instruction, it means you're not doing justice to formative assessments. It means that our understanding of formatives is incomplete. All right? So note this. If you have to use formative assessments, you need to consciously look at what are you doing as a result of this information. Very, very important. And let's see who's the winner of this. Let's see if Lucky is continuing. Aman, you're number one now with 1950 points. Very well done, Aman. Congratulations to you. Are we ready for the next one? Okay, quiz number 3. A classroom assessment used by students to self-assess and set goals. Red, assessment of learning. Blue, assessment for learning. Yellow, assessment as learning. This is a bit of a tongue twister. I've got a third assessment over here. Once again, an assessment used by students to self-assess and set goals. Assessment of learning is red, assessment for learning is blue, and assessment as learning is yellow. And for those of you who can't participate because you're not in the quiz, please write the answers on the chat. I am watching whether you're writing it correctly. I'm seeing lots of blues, reds, yellows, all colors coming up. Okay, and as time goes by, 6 seconds, and 3, 2, 1. And the answer is yellow, assessment as learning. Now, this is something different, isn't it? We've traditionally only heard of assessment of learning and assessment for learning. But there is this very interesting concept about assessment as learning. We're going to discuss this in a minute. Only 267 of you got this correct. So let's see who's got this right. And Aman, are you going to keep your lead? Yes, Aman, congratulations. And Rani, you're a second number there. So Rani, buck up. Harpreet, buck up. Let's see if you can destabilize Aman. There's not so much of a lead that Aman has. And Aman, let me see how you do in the next question. Are we ready for the next one? Question number 4 coming up. This type of assessment is done only by the teacher. Red, formative, blue, summative. This type of assessment is done only by the teacher. Red, formative, blue, summative. And the time is about to shut down. 8, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Let's see who's got it right. Yes, the answer is summative. Formative assessments are used by teachers and students to improve teaching and learning, whereas summative assessments are primarily used by teachers in order to understand how much have the children understood. All right. Now, do you see I've actually taken you through the entire gamut of formative and summative assessment through this process of a test. And let's see who's the winner. Oh, Aman, you've gone down. I'm so sorry to see this. And Rani, you are the queen bee now. Let's see. Wonderful, Rani. Harpreet, you've also continued. In fact, Harpreet and Rani have the same number of points. Very well done, both of you girls. Very well done. I'm very proud of you. Okay, moving on to the next one. True or false? Assessment in the before phase is used to uncover gaps. True is blue, red is false. Assessment in the before stage is used to uncover gaps in learning. Blue is true, red is false. This is an easy one actually. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, yes, most of us got this right. Yes, assessment in the before stage is primarily meant to know what does a child know, how much does he know, so that we can further follow it up with the right instruction. You're teaching decimals, you realize that children don't know fractions, there will be a learning gap. What does it mean? That before you do decimals, you spend a little time in teaching some of those children who have learning gaps. That way you will always take your children along with you. Did you have fun? And now, who's the winner? Will Rani be the winner? The podium. Okay, with 5,309 points is Harpreet. Well done. Neha, upset, is second, and the first one is Poonam Mittal. So Rani has been toppled. Poonam, Neha, and Harpreet. Anwar and Srividya, you're number 4 and 5. Very, very well done. Did you have fun? Did you have fun? I had fun. Did you have fun is the question. So if you as a learner are having fun, I am so happy about it. Very, very nice. Great. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this and come back to my presentation. I've done all of formative and summative assessments. The only one that I am going to take out is, and that's the point number 9 that we are learning today. What I'm going to spend time is not on formative and summative assessment, is in fact on what is assessment as learning, because this is very, very interesting. All right. So assessment of learning is happening during the entire learning process. It is helping students to learn more with increasing independence. It is helping children to develop what we call as metacognition. All right. Thinking about my own thinking. So assessment as learning is when children do peer and self-evaluation. When I am assessing my own learning, that's when exactly what you did through Kahoot just now. Kahoot gave you a chance to assess your own learning. You were doing self-evaluation, self-assessment. How much do I really know about assessment? So that is assessment as learning. It tells children about themselves. It helps teachers to differentiate instruction. It helps children to gain knowledge about their own progress. But very important, it helps children to set goals. This is one of the most important points that I want us to focus on. How can we use the assessment process to set goals? Remember what we talked about independent learners? Remember what we talked about student agency? If we develop goal setting in children with success criteria, right? Remember the success criteria, connecting the dots, sharing learning intentions, independent learners, student agency, part 1. Sharing success criteria, part 2. Peer self-assessment and peer assessment, part 3. If I join these 3 and the 4th step is set a goal, then my continuum is complete. This is the way assessments need to work. Assessments should not work merely as some quiz that you're giving. That is not the way assessments must work. All right. I hope you're learning something new today. Can you confirm to me on the chat that there are things that you don't know are being taken up in this session? Nalini says yes. Thank you for that, Nalini. Shefa says yes. Poonam says yes. Shithik says yes. Manju says yes. I'm so glad that there is something that I'm adding on to your knowledge. Great, great motivation for me that I'm on the right track, guys. Great. Very nice. Okay. Let me check the time. Okay, we're doing all right for time. Short film on what you can do for formative assessment in your classes. Okay, short 2-minute video. Bear with me.
7 strategies for using formative assessments in online learning. It is a common worry for instructors to know if their students are learning online. Let's take a look at some strategies for using formative assessments to gauge student understanding online. Strategy 1. Do a background knowledge probe. A knowledge probe activates the background knowledge a student may already have about the topic. You can do this before the start of a lesson by sharing a quiz of 2 to 3 open-ended or multiple choice questions. Strategy 2. Do a misconception check. Like a background knowledge probe, you can assess for and address the misconceptions students typically have about a concept. For example, you can present students with common and predictable misconceptions about a topic and ask them whether they agree or disagree and have them explain why. Strategy 3. Use the discussion forums. Online courses allow for more detailed assessment of discussion. You can track learning progress by having your students engage in a weekly discussion with each other via the discussion forums. Strategy 4. Use the muddiest point paper. This assessment is a good strategy to see where students are facing difficulties. For example, if you assign students a reading for the week, you can have them turn in a brief reflection on the confusing concepts in the reading that was unclear to them. Strategy 5. Give practice quizzes. These quizzes encourage reflection and fosters deliberate practice. It is non-graded and can be given to students to assess their knowledge of the material. Strategy 6. Embed quizzes in videos. Question prompts help students with comprehension and retention of material. You can use tools like Edpuzzle, an interactive video assessment tool, to create question prompts and quizzes within the video. Strategy 7. Use polls. Student polling and voting is one way of eliciting feedback and engaging your students online. You can use polls at the beginning of your course to check student preferences for your office hours, or you could do a quick poll at the end of each course topic to go over student understanding before moving on to the next topic. There are free, limited-use polling tools to use, like Poll Everywhere and Easy Polls.
Okay.
7 strategies. 7.
Okay. My 10th point, using assessment data. Now we all keep testing, but are we genuinely using the data that's coming out? If you are not, believe me, you're not doing justice to the assessment process. There is rich data coming out when we are using online assessments. There's really rich data coming out. So what do we need to do? We need to analyze. For the teacher, she needs to analyze from a student variable. Who are the students who are not doing well? What are the content topics that are not being covered correctly? Do I need to reteach? Do I need to do remedials? So this is what the teacher will plan as a result of this analysis. For the school, particularly those of you who are principals attending this session today, coordinators, HMs, vice principals, please take note. What can you do with assessment data? Teacher variable. Who are the teachers who are performing well? Which are the teachers who need support? It's not about criticizing teachers. It is about reaching out to teachers and helping them where they need help. Which are the classes that are doing well and which are the classes not doing well? In the picture I've put on the right side, can you see? Can you make out which classes are doing poorly? Can you write down in the chat? Which classes are doing poorly? Write down in the chat. Across the board, which classes are doing poorly? Write down in the chat. I'm waiting for your responses. Which classes do you think? 7F is doing badly. There's no 7F, there's 7A. 8B, all right? 9A. 9A is doing very badly in some subjects, very true. But not in Hindi. 10B, 7A. But can you see 6A and B are actually doing badly in all subjects? Can you see it? Now, can you see which subjects is this whole school doing badly in? Which subject? Which subject is the entire school doing badly in? Math. So what should be the remedial action that a principal or a vice principal should take? Your teachers will need more professional development. Your students, you will need a very clearly well-defined school-wide remedial plan. You'll have to do a misconception check. You'll have to do what we call as error analysis of your teachers' papers. You have to plan remedial action based on all of this. So my 10th message to you today is use analysis, analyze the data, the assessment data that's coming out, and take intelligent decisions based on this data. Just not using this data in any way is the wrongest thing to do. All right? Okay. Now we've seen 10 important aspects of assessments. All right? Now let's put this all together and see how does this play out in a lesson. And to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to do a case study. Okay? Now, this was a class that I observed a few days ago, and that's why I'm bringing this class to you, because it's so fresh in my mind. The teacher was teaching parts of plant. Okay? And in this one particular that I observed, teacher started the class, greetings, then she took attendance, she did a recap of what students knew about plants, she asked questions, before students responded, then she showed a live plant, explained the parts of a plant, showed a video on the parts of the plant. There was a video that she organized. She asked lots of questions, and she tried her best to give every student a chance to answer. Good teacher. I mean, she worked really hard. I really like that about her. A lot of examples. For home assignment, she gave a worksheet for children to do. Class 2 children, she gave a Google Forms worksheet. And then, not Google Forms, but she asked them to actually draw the plant and do all of that. And then she asked the children to complete that and then click a photo on WhatsApp. And then she asked her to send it. She asked them to send it to her via WhatsApp. She corrected it and she sent it. And a week later, she used Google Forms to take a test. Now, what do you think of this class? What do you think? I want you to go to chat and write down what do you think is going. And now we know a lot of things are going correctly. And this is clearly a very hardworking teacher. And she had painstakingly put together her class. But tell me, keeping in mind the pedagogical considerations that we had talked about earlier. Do you remember what the four pedagogical considerations were? Once again, I remind you. First one was active learning. Second was differentiation. Third one was higher order questions. Fourth one was assessment, check for understanding. On 4Ps, what do you think she's not doing too well? Let's just focus on what she's not doing too well. Go to your chat and write down. She's not doing differentiation, no assessments, no formative, teacher-centered class. Okay, Manju says student engagement is missing. Sangeeta says no HOTS questions. Rajita says ask questions. Yeah, check for understanding is missing. Vidya says learning not done. HOTS missing. Guys, write full sentences or at least phrases. I can't understand your thought process if you write just one keyword. I can't understand it. Okay? Not practical, no higher order thinking. Mom, Vinay, okay, it's going so fast. Activity is missing. Differentiated learning missing. Teacher central class, no revision. Very good point. Active learning not happening. Assessing not happening. Okay, children involvement is missing. Peer involvement is missing. I'm so glad you're thinking about these aspects. Integration, I don't know what that means. Hands-on experience is missing. Guys, write full sentences or at least a phrase. Assessment after not done. Very good point. I love that point. Interaction with students is missing. Okay. Activity is missing. Very good. Group discussion is missing. Very true. Children involvement is missing. So can you see that while the teacher has worked hard, and it's very easy to be critical of a teacher, but if we look at ourselves, remember, again, growth mindset, okay? If we look at ourselves, feedback for us, self-evaluation. Am I doing all these points that we just talked about? Let's just not do peer evaluation and stay with that. Let's also move on to self-evaluation, okay? So what did I think of this lesson? Thank you. Thank you everyone for all your responses. No interesting things happening. I like that. Thank you for that. So what was plus and minus for me? The plus was the teacher was very sincere. She used some resources, PPT, videos, worksheets, etc. She encouraged students to clarify doubts. She explained the concepts. Topics were very well organized. She did take a test at the end. What was minus? Exactly as all of us said. Basically a lecture method. Questions were posed, but only 3 or 4 questions, students got the opportunity to answer. Mostly lower order questions. Students were passive, no active learning, no differentiation, no collaboration, no prior knowledge, no check for understanding, no feedback on worksheet because she just ticked it and sent it back. No self or peer evaluation. I apologize for the spelling mistake there. No assessment in or before or during learning, and no feedback after the test. So you see from every perspective, there was an issue. Now, before we go on, I want to take a few minutes and explain a beautiful pedagogical model that I've been talking about ever since this online teaching started. I'm going to take a few minutes because assessment is linked, like I said, to our model of teaching and learning. If we're not doing anything in the before stage, how do we test? So this is the model. Please remember to take a picture so that you get this with you. I'm going to wait for a moment for all of you to take a picture. Okay, so how do we do everything? Step 1, divide the chapter into different periods. We always do that. But for every period, write down objectives at 2 levels. Lower levels of Bloom's taxonomy and higher level of Bloom's taxonomy. For every single period, there has to be 3 parts to the whole learning process. One is the before part, one is the during part, and one is the after part. Okay? In the before part, start with a prior knowledge worksheet. Use Google Forms or MS Forms for it. When you use Google Forms or MS Forms, you don't have to check it. If there is no work for you other than making it, and believe me, those of you who have not used Google Forms and MS Forms, you're missing out something. It takes all of 6 minutes to make. Very easy, very simple, short worksheet, 4 or 5 questions, no more. All MCQ, 1-word answer types, don't do anything more than that. It's more than enough. But ask very insightful questions so that you're able to ascertain whether children have learning gaps. Remember, what did we say? Prior knowledge is required to assess misconceptions and learning gaps. So those are the kind of questions that you need to be asked. Next, create a small video. You create a video. Do not use ready-made videos. Remember, if you're a nursery or a class 1 teacher, the video should not be more than 3 minutes. If you're a class 11 or 12 teacher, your video should not be more than 6 minutes at the very, very most. All right? Keep this in mind. Then next step, hands-on activity. Definitely something that is linked, can be done at home. Again, follow it up with another quiz. And what I want you to do is to check the responses. Remember what we said, checking assessment data. So use the assessment data, check it before you come to the classroom so that you know who are the children who have learning gaps. In the during part, start with a starter activity. Go on with explanation, ask questions on a higher order. video, hands-on activity recap. Then in the after stage, now here's a revolutionary idea I'm proposing. Create a study buddy group on WhatsApp, 4 children per group, and give them a task. One of the biggest things that is not happening in online teaching is student to student interaction has been completely done away with. Children are missing working with one another. Bring that in. Okay, so give them a small task that they can do together. Follow it up with individual tasks. There are lots of beautiful softwares that you can do. Use a technology for individual hands-on practice. You can use RAS Plus for English. You can use Brain Pop for science and social studies. You can use Khan Academy for math. They're brilliant. I'm giving you 3 apps for 4 subjects. Hindi teachers, I'm very sorry. I can't find any great apps for you. I think someone can do a great business by bringing in Hindi. And if somebody is over here, okay, here's a suggestion to the Eschanth team. Please make an app. And if there is, your Learnflix actually has something for Hindi. I think teachers will be eternally grateful for you. Please see if you can do something for Hindi. Then after that, do Google Forms, and then next day's preparations. Here's an example of what could be done for the topic, the same topic now. Again, now see, I've just transformed the same thing on parts of plant. Prior knowledge quiz on different plants using Google Forms. Video, hands-on activity, blindfold, guess the vegetable and which part of the plant is being eaten. Then I'm using quizzes to do a quiz. I'm starting the next day with a mind map. I'm sharing learning intentions, sharing live examples of plants, using a PPT, doing a hands-on activity. I'm using Edpuzzle during the time. Am I going too fast? I hope not. I've got lots of things to do and I'm running out of time. So if I'm going too fast, just let me know, okay? And then recap using a graphic organizer, all right? And then in the after one, I'm going to give them plants, and I'm going to ask them to compare the plants on their shape, size, functions of each of the different plants. And I'm going to give them a group assessment rubric so that they evaluate their own working as a group. Or I could give them a student portfolio using Class Dojo with a peer assessment rubric. I could use any one of these. Then I will express gratitude for the food we eat to the plants that provided the food. Very important to bring in the values, people. Very, very important. All right. And then I'm going to give them a short quiz at the end so that I know whether they've understood the topics. Now see the way I'm assessing. Look at the bottom. Please take a look at the bottom section. In the before section, I have checked to see are there children with learning gaps. In the during section, the Edpuzzle is telling me, are the children understanding? If there are children who are getting it wrong, then I can sit with those and explain it to them later. At the end of this lesson, I know I can change my plan for tomorrow depending on what is the result. Which students need help? Do I need to teach the topic again or a specific part of that topic again? That is the information that's coming in. Okay, now I want you to tell me, was this lesson, the one that I've shown you now, was this and the assessments effective? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a poll with all of you now, and I'm going to launch this poll. Okay, few short questions. And for those of you who are on Facebook, I'm calling out the questions. Kindly respond in the Facebook's chat box only. All right, here we are. Is active learning happening in the lesson? I'm talking of my lesson. Okay, is prior learning being assessed? Is the teacher checking for understanding during the class? Does the teacher have the opportunity to modify her class based on next student's performance? Have the students been explained the success criteria? After you finish, remember to press on submit. For my friends on Facebook, please write down the answers in the chat window. 1, whatever it is, yes, no. 1, yes, 2, B, whatever. I mean, 2, yes, no. Please write like that. Look carefully. Is there group discussion happening? If you see in the last part, in the part that is where the group task is being given, is interaction happening? Vandana is asking, can we use Google Forms for Hindi? The answer is yes. This is of a Facebook friend of mine, ours rather. Hema, Vaneja, nice to see both of you here. That's Hema Bhaskaran and Vaneja Mani. Dear friends. Aman Bath, hello. Okay, so I'm ending polling and I'm going to show you the responses now. See this. Is there active learning? Resoundingly 98% said yes. Prior learning being tested? Yes. Teacher checking understanding? Yes. Does the teacher have opportunity to modify instructions? Yes. Have the students been explained the success criteria? Yes. So on all fronts, this is the kind of lesson and the kind of assessments that we would like to see from you. Are we getting it? Right? Okay, so to move on now. Okay, so some good, very interesting EdTech tools. Many of them I think you'd already probably know, but I'm just reiterating. But some of you who haven't heard from it, then it's great. Okay, so when you want to conduct quizzes or checking for understanding, I love to use Google Forms and Microsoft Forms. I think they're very simple to use. They're extremely easy. And all of the tools that I'm explaining today are all free of cost. You don't have to spend a naira paisa on anything, okay? Use Google Forms, use Microsoft Forms in order to ensure that you are using this. The best part of this is they're all autocorrect. You don't have to spend time in sitting and correcting. And that's why you should use this. I strongly recommend it. But don't get limited only to these two. I'm seeing in a lot of schools, they're only using this and nothing else. That also is not correct. Bring variety. Remember, variety is the spice of life. Would you like to eat beans, vegetable, green sabzi and roti and moong dal every day for the rest of your life? The answer is no. You want variety, and so children also like variety, right? So here's another favorite of mine, quizzes.com. Okay, you can gamify learning and give this to children. They have energy points happening. It's great fun and children love it. Quizzes.com is great fun to gamify your quizzes. Children really love it. Go there and do some of the quizzes yourself. You'll find it so much fun. Okay? All right, next. I'm going a little fast because my time is getting up and I want to leave some time for Q&A. The next one, we've played for healthy competition, use Kahoot. Okay, we played Kahoot ourselves today. Then, if you want to create a student portfolio, then you can consider using something called as Class Dojo. It's good fun. Children just upload their photographs there and you can use a rubric to assess this portfolio. So remember, here's completely another way of assessing. Use a rubric to assess this portfolio. All right. Next one, for giving feedback, Kaizena. I spoke about this earlier and I'm telling you this again free of cost. Install it and use it. It's brilliant to use, very simple, and it can also go with Google Forms. Very easy to use with Google Docs and with Google Forms, very, very easy. There's an extension that you need to enable and that's all. Very, very simple to use. Go look at the YouTube and you'll find it. Another one of my absolute favorites is Edpuzzle. So no matter which video you're using and from where you're getting it, from YouTube or your service provider, you can put checks in between and ask questions, and it will only let the video move ahead once the child is answered. So you get to know how the children are performing, okay? And if you want to use personalized assessment, I highly recommend Khan Academy. It's one of my absolute favorites. It's brilliant for math and for 9 to 12 science. It's absolutely brilliant. The assessments are personalized. It continuously coaches children. Remember, Khan Academy is not only about the videos. It's also about the questions and the dashboard that it gives you. Do you know that your students will use the exact same questions and materials that are being used by the children of Bill Gates? 196 countries, 90 countries are using Khan Academy. More than 6 crore learners are benefiting completely free of cost. I strongly recommend it for those of you who don't know it. I'm glad some of you are giving me positive messages. Teresa says, very informative session. Thank you for that, Teresa. Some interesting sites. You can note this down, take a picture. You can check it out for yourself. Most of them are really good. Some of them are very similar. You can figure out which one you want to use. Okay. If you believe in authentic learning and are a little more ambitious than doing the usual class talk, then what you can do is you can do projects-based learning, transdisciplinary and interdisciplinary. Do something called as a web quest. Web quest is one of the best tools to use today. It's an inquiry-oriented activity. It's based on information around the web. Children meaningfully process the information. So it's not about just copying and pasting, all right? It develops critical thinking, analysis, creating and evaluate. And remember, children are creating something new. So they're at the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy. So say, for example, the teacher decides to do a web quest on parts of plants. So children will get together in groups and they will actually create their own web quest. It can be a detective who's looking for plants and they can create it. I mean, it's amazing. Go check out some of the most brilliant web quests that have been made by children all over the world, and you will be astounded by their creativity, okay? And of course, it fosters cooperative learning. You can do problem-based learning, inquiry-based learning. You can do a video project on a social issue. You can even do an Instagram campaign. Isn't that so much fun? Especially for social studies teachers. My friend Jaya Agarwal is here today and she always asks me, ma'am, tell me what can be done. Here's an idea for you, Jaya. Do an Instagram campaign on a social issue and then create a rubric to evaluate it. Beautiful idea. Okay. And then how do you evaluate all of this? Of course, all these are evaluated through rubrics. Don't have time to use to explain or go into too much of sense, but rubrics are the best tools possible. Here's an example of a rubric based on for project-based learning. See the criteria I've used: quality of research, source of information, organization of the project, language, teamwork, and plagiarism. Remember, when children are copying and pasting, if they're directly copying and pasting, remember, they will go to a 0, right? But if they're writing original, which is what we want, remember, again and again I'm saying, creating is the highest form of thinking. We don't want children to plagiarize. We want children to write on their own original work. And this is how all these projects will develop languages, will develop skills, 21st century skills. They will develop subject competencies. So in every which ways, this will be absolutely brilliant for your children. You know, the fact is that we can do it. Now, pre-primary. Okay, I'm going to go into another poll now. This is a poll for, okay, second. All right, I'm coming to second poll now. Very quickly, how do you think students in pre-primary should be assessed? Should they be assessed by paper and pencil? Should they be assessed through oral work? Should they be done through observation in front of camera, or no assessment is required? What do you think? People in Facebook, write your responses based on the question that I'm asking. I'm repeating. How should students be assessed? Through paper and pencil, in front of the camera, through oral work, observation, or no assessments? What do you say? Okay, I'm stopping the poll. Okay, so I'm ending the poll now, and here are the results. Most of us feel that we should assess children through oral work and through observation in front of the camera. No assessment is required, many of you feel, but I am so glad to know that all of us believe that paper and pencil tests should not be done. I am so glad to hear you say this. Thank you for that. Really good. I'm so glad to hear you say that. So here's my take on pre-primary assessments. Focus on the skills that you want to develop in all domains. Gross motor, fine motor, cognitive, socio-emotional, music, dance, whatever domain you want to work in, focus on what are the skills and competencies you want to develop. Observe children during play-based activities, all right? So please allow for play-based activities, and you can keep observing what the child is doing. Focus on a lot of oral work. Is the child picking up the language competencies we want to know? For example, suppose we were looking at language competencies for LKG. We could be looking at phonological awareness, letter knowledge, emerging writing. This is what we're doing, but formal assessments are not required. So here I've developed for you an example about how you can maintain observational records. All right. So here we are. Measure 30, desired result. See the way I've put it down. Desired result is children are effective learners. The indicator is preschoolers demonstrate emerging literacy skills. The measure is letter and word knowledge. The definition of this is child shows increasing awareness of symbols, letters, and words in the environment and their relationship to sound. And then I've given a lot of what does this mean? Exploring, developing, building, integrating. And then at the bottom, I've given examples for what each of these mean and how will you record your evidence in the rating over here. All right, so this is how an observation sheet should be looking like. You can please take a picture and develop this on your own. It's not difficult, and it's a one-time job. For those pre-primary teachers who do not have great ways to do it, this is the most authentic way of actually looking at assessments at the pre-primary. Okay, observation and oral work. Okay, now the big question that's been bothering all of us, isn't it? Online summative exams. What's going to happen? August, September are approaching. What do we do for term 1 exams? Well, simple and short answer is policy decisions from MHRD and CBSE are still awaited. Schools are toying with several ideas. I called up lots of my very dear friends. Shout out to Rita Kaul ma'am, Radni Jori ma'am, Shraddha ma'am, Sunita Nambiar. All of them have been very helpful in telling me what they are doing. And of course, so many more. Sangeeta ma'am from Parivartan School. Most schools are attempting to do online exams through MS Teams or Google Forms, okay? Keeping a camera in front of them. Many schools are doing paper and pencil tests with uploading them on completion via scanning them. Some of the schools are showing one question at a time, and they're asking children to respond within a specific period of time. And then a new question is shown. There are lots of paid exam portals A lot of schools are also considering those. There are a lot of LMS solutions that are available today. A lot of schools are even exploring those. In all cases, students are doing it in front of the camera. What are the issues that you're going to face? Honesty. Are children being honest? Are they cheating? How much time is it going to take? What are the technical issues that will happen? Suppose the camera conks off, the internet is not working. What do you do then? Typing, if some of the cases where children are being asked to respond on MS Forms or Google Classroom, the children are typing it out. So even typing speed is an issue. And this is where, to all the computer teachers who are sitting here today, and I hope there would be some in the audience today, please teach your children keyboarding skills. Remember, 21st century students need good keyboarding skills. You and I can do without it, but our children cannot. Please teach them how to keyboard, and keyboarding skills is not taught in the computer classes. It's such a pity. Children are typing using 1 or 2 fingers, just the way you and I type, and it's wrong. Let's get them used to this. This is a life skill that they will use throughout their lives, and they will bless you for this. What are the points to ponder? Which topics are to be prioritized? What are the must know and the could know topics? Which skills are non-negotiable? So I'm talking at topics. I'm also talking about skills. Which are the essential skills and knowledge that are required for the next class? Some of these things will need to be kept in mind if you are chipping and chopping your syllabus. All right? Please remember this. And here are my shared learning intentions and success criteria. Focus on feedback. Check for understanding on all phases of the lesson. Leverage personal conversations. Assessments are on one side, but when you interact with the children, and by the way, before I go on to this point, I have a question to ask you. Are you calling your students once a week and talking to them one-on-one? And don't do it on the phone call, do it on a video WhatsApp call. For those of my friends who are in the Middle East, there are other, Botum is there, for example, and some others are there. Do a video call. The interaction that is currently missing because of remote teaching needs to be bridged. I cannot emphasize this point enough. Please call your students by roll number every week. Find out how they are. Leverage these personal conversations. They will tell you whether your children are learning. They will help to create a wonderful bond between all of you. All right? Also, check on the social, emotional well-being of your students. It is a very important point. There's a lot of fear amongst children, and this is an understated fear. You'll see when children are fearing something, they become distracted. They become hyperactive. They start talking too much. Some of them withdraw. So some kind of a behavior issue comes out because children at a subconscious level are experiencing fear and anxiety. So please ensure. I would request you to please develop an extra dose of empathy at this point in time. If they can't do a test, don't stress them out because of it. It's okay. It's okay. Remember, children first, learning second, technology third, and assessments fourth, in that order. I'm saying it again. Children first, learning second, technology third, rather I should say assessments third, and technology fourth. If one piece of technology doesn't work for you, change it. But remember, children before learning, children before assessment. Your empathy is going to go in a way. I have to ask you one question, and I always ask all my teachers this. 50 years from now, 30 years from now, how do you want to look at this point? This phase of your life when we are all working online. How do you want to remember this phase? Do you want happy memories, or do you want to remember this as a phase of gross anxiety? How do you want to remember it? I think all of us want to remember it with happy memories. We want happy memories. Aren't we then responsible for making sure that our children also have happy memories? 30 years from now, they will not remember what you taught them. They will not. I am telling you this with absolute guarantee they will not remember what you taught them, but they will remember how you made them feel. They will remember your warmth. They will remember that there was a teacher who called her and asked her, how are you, beta? I care about you. I'm calling you, that's why. Can we reach out? Let's create happy memories for our children. Let's create happy memories for ourselves. Let's reach out to our children and help our children develop growth mindset. And even before them, let's look at ourselves and develop growth mindset in ourselves. Let's work smarter, not harder. Let's harness the potential of online assessments. So, what is your key takeaway? Before I open the thing for Q&A today, I want to ask you, what is your key takeaway today? I want each one to write down in the chat box, what is your key takeaway? Work smarter, says Naina. Okay, Naina. Itisha says, focus on growth mindset. Power to you, Itisha. Swarnlata says, thank you, ma'am, for a lovely session. Welcome, Swarnlata. Don't thank me. Write your key learning. Growth mindset. Change our mindset. Useful sites for reference. I'm glad you like that. Do your best, says Tasreem. Poonam says, okay, I missed that. I'm going to go on the chat over here so that I can read it my luxury. Okay, growth mindset, encouraging all of us. New sites. Very nice. Lovely tools were introduced for e-learning. I'm so glad. How to assess the happy children with growth mindset. Shama, I love that. You've kind of condensed everything in one line. Beautiful. Children are important, says Soumya. Safira says change. Neera says growth set. Neera, I'm so glad you managed to make it to the session. Marzia says work smarter. Yasmin says happy children will make happy learning. I love you for that, Yasmin. Pooja says create a happy learning environment. Beautiful point. Ibrahim says we will try to change the mindset of students. But Ibrahim, your own mindset first. Remember this. Create happy moments, says Prasad. Rekha says, I missed that. Shakti says, online teaching. Fareen says, create interest. Gurpreet says, excellent session. Thank you, Gurpreet. Kumari says, sites and e-learning tools. Jailakshi says, make children enjoy learning, motivational. Don't get stagnant, says Savneet. Mohammed says, mindset, growth, continuous practice. Growth and happy learning. Ajit says, personalized touch through teaching. Rosie Johnson says, more passion towards teaching. Yay for you. I love you for that. Ramchandran says, focus on both happy learning. Assessment value, says Sudha. Asen Rao says, oh, I missed that. I'm sorry. Rakiraj says, to make e-learning visible. Fatima says, throw out the old mindset. Yes, I agree. Tabassum says, children first. Great. Kahoot with tricky games. Avni says, fully involved children. Tanya says, plan accordingly. Kavita says, online assessments. Farita says, 5 effective ways of remote teaching. Hema says, excellent session. Focus on growth mindset. Vinita says, informative session. Jyoti says, we must understand child's perspective. Thank you for that, Jyoti. I'm reading out of Facebook now. Harmeet says, assess child before, during, and after. Neelu says, we learned many new things. I'm so glad. Shiv says, learned new things. Anjali says, ma'am, please could you give you the sites for senior math? Anjali, use Khan Academy. It's brilliant. If you haven't done it, still use Khan Academy. Completely India-specific syllabus. Vidya says, happy memories and growth mindset. Okay. Healthy mind resides in a healthy body. So true, says Maya. It's all in our hands, says Naushad. I agree with you. Naushad, we are responsible. Deepshika says, fully involved with the children. Shaista says, I got a lot of new ideas. Thank you. Welcome, Celine. Geeta says, wonderful session. Okay, thank you very much. I think we've all written our. Anupa says, excellent session. I'm glad you liked it. Achla says, learning as assessment. Got an idea, change my fixed mindset, says Baby Jones. Okay, I'm open now for question answers. And I'm going to request the hosts, Veena and Navinder, to please collate the questions and ask me so that I don't miss. Okay? All right, I have to take a break.
Thank you so much, Asllesha, for this very energetic and full of knowledge session. And we are seeing the chat and we are seeing the feedback and the praises that they all have for you. It's really, really very, very enthusiastic for us also that you are here into our platform. Thank you so much, Asllesha, for this.
My pleasure.
Asllesha, actually, in your session, the one beautiful thing that we have seen it was that you not only gave us the knowledge, but you have made us to do these things so that we also knew it was practical in our real situation also. So that was something very, very beautifully done into the session. Learning intentions and involving students to create their own success criteria was a great idea. I think so. This is something which many of our teachers are going to weave into our daily classroom teaching. Giving feedback is a bedrock for child success. Again, even if we are doing a 30-minute classroom, at least last 2 to 3 minutes for the feedback should be kept for online teaching also. So most of the questions were already answered by you, Asllesha. There is just, two that I want to ask you. One was about my senior teacher. She said, how do we assess our children into numericals, especially for physics class? So they want an idea how to do it.
Okay. Please go on.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I'm assuming this is a senior teacher teaching class 9 to 12 because that is when mostly the numericals come in. I would strongly recommend that use assessments given in Khan Academy. Khan Academy has everything dovetailed from 9 to 12. There's so much practice given on numericals, you will be amazed. And it is completely dovetailed to the NCERT curriculum. Do take a look at that. All you have to do is create a class. Okay, maybe I can just show it to you right now. Is it okay, Veena, if I can share it right now?
Asllesha, we are just running short of time. Maybe.
Short of time. Okay, no problem. Okay, so I won't show it then in that case. Let me stop.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
So, yeah. So you can go to Khan Academy. Khan Academy, you need to sign up and then create a class. Okay. Once you've created a class, then you add your courses. So you can add courses, and generally we recommend that if you're teaching any class, take 1 or 2 classes lower and 1 or 2 classes up. Why do we do that? Because if there are learning labs, then we can give content that is at a lower level. And you can individualize everything. And with children who are really quick and very good, we can give things from the higher grades as well. And all you have to go is check it out, what is the content, and just tick on the assign the practice exercises, and children will do it themselves. And all that you have to do thereafter is you can see the results and then check out whether children are actually understanding it or not. So that's my response to that question. Next question.
Okay, so one more question. How many rounds of assessments can be realistically planned for a primary in 1 month?
In 1 month?
1 month, yeah.
Okay, so my response is, again, see the model that I gave you. You're actually assessing 3 times in every period. And it's not difficult to do because you're using tech tools. Nowhere am I asking you to sit and correct it physically, which is why I'm explaining so many tech tools to you. So if you have like 20 periods in say 22 periods in a month, you're assessing all 22 periods multiplied by at least 2 or 3 times. So you're assessing almost 60 times, and you are constantly getting feedback. Like I said, then your job is only to focus on what is the information, how do I modify my instruction, who are the children who need my help. Focus only on that.
And also one more thing, that when we are doing assessment through the online tools or the apps that you have discussed, how do we maintain the record for the scores?
So that is the best thing about all the apps I maintain. All of them have a back end and they are recording everything for you. You don't have a thing to do. You know something? I'm going to tell you a secret. whenever school starts and you're going to check paper and pencil, you're going to miss these days. You're going to miss these days because if you use technology intelligently, all your work is being done by technology. Your job is only to check the results, modify instruction as a result of that. That's all.
The last question for the session today, Asllesha, is that is it best to take average from multiple rounds of AFL and AOL and make average to reflect proper learning curve? So what do you suggest on this?
See, the thing is that, again, what are we using assessment for at the end of the day? Are assessments only to give grades to children? I think we've reached a higher purpose of grades, right? I'm saying give children the benefit. I've seen schools who are giving multiple. I'll give you the example of a school that I've come across. The principal is a dear friend of mine, and she was telling me that they are doing assessments through an LMS. In the LMS, children have multiple times they can take the same test till the time that they reach the best score, right? And they take that. I mean, look at what GMAT is doing. When a child, it's an old child, an adult is writing a GMAT exam. GMAT gives you multiple opportunities to improve your score, isn't it? And that's learning. Because your learning is improving every time you're taking children. So why are you worried about take averages? I mean, that's a policy decision from your school side. My point of view is, what is the purpose for which you're using assessments? Is learning improving as a result of your assessments? If yes, I think the job is done. Then whether you use the best score, you use the least score, you use an average score, leave it to your principal and your entire senior staff to figure out what needs to be done. Okay? Focus on the purpose. That is more important than the tool and the marks in itself. Focus on the purpose about why you're assessing. Focus on whether learning itself is improving. And your job as a teacher is done.
Thank you so much, Asllesha. The last takeaway from your whatever you have said just now is that your learning curve is not about the scores. It is about enhancing your own learning, doing better every time we take a test or an assessment. So thank you so much, Asllesha, for giving us such an insightful session. And thank you all my participants, all my teachers from India and from my Gulf schools to be there. And continuously, this was our, I think, so 5th session online for the webinar. And all of you have been there with us. And lot of learning from you also and lot of takeaways from our sessions also. Thank you, everyone. Till we meet you on the next Saturday, same time, 3 to 5, Indian Standard Time. And thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Onward and forward. That's how we move. Say with me, I can do the best. I am the best. And let's move forward with a positive mindset. God bless each one of you as you make this journey. Write into me. My email ID is asllesha.thakur@gmail.com. I'm putting it in the chat for you to see. Write into me so that I would love to know how you are using all of this. Okay? I'm putting in my credentials in the chat box. Just give me a second, please. Here we are. asllesha.thakur@leadinnovation.org. I'm also putting it in Facebook. Do write into me. I'd love to know from you whether your strategies are working. Any queries, I'm fairly prompt at responding. I've given my email ID. I'd love to hear from you. God bless to each one of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Asllesha. Thank you so much.
Bye, Veena.
Thank you.
Thank you to the entire Milestone and DS Digital team for organizing such a lovely afternoon for all the teachers.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.